Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. Today is our last episode of this year. I believe it is our 37th episode, 38th.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and for listening. Today, I'll let Halie take over.
Today, I feel like we're just going to do a more casual episode, talk about what the new year represents and what we're kind of thinking and planning for the new year. We like to have the opportunity to just kind of chat and hang out with you guys. So with that, one of the things that I thought would be fun to talk about, with it being the end of the year, we are beginning to release what's no longer serving us. We have our few previous episodes where we talk a lot about that. But I'm curious if there's any like themes or concepts or anything specific that you're wanting to release at the end of this year going into 2024.
So it's interesting you say that. I had like a kind of a weird day. It just felt like off. Normally I feel very aligned, and so everything just flows with ease, you know, but every once in a while you have one of those days where you're like, what is up today? Like I'm grumpy, or like something's going on weird or whatever. And it was one of those days, like things were just not like flowing like normal. And I was thinking, what is the message here? Like, what is this trying to teach me? And I feel that the message that maybe the collective needs right now is a reminder to be mindful. I think that's what it is, to be mindful, and to be especially mindful of how you're feeling, and ask yourself why. You know, are you taking care of you in the ways that you need to right now? And how do you want to show up in the next year? Like, I know people set New Year's goals and things like that, and I'm not like huge on that, because I don't want it to be like a pressurized, like, you need to be this way and do this. And I mean, it's good to set some goals, but I think I want to be really authentic to myself. And I want to be really mindful about how I feel and how I'm treating myself and how I'm treating the people around me, and just be, you know, the best version that I can be.
I am not super big on setting like New Year's resolutions. I feel like that can be very like toxic culture of like, going into the new year, you have to, you know, do X, Y, and Z to be good enough. Like, there's so much pressure and so much like shame that I think people put towards themselves when they set resolutions. And I instead like to set intentions. And also, I don't force myself to do that necessarily, because the interesting thing is, in astrology, the new year isn't until the end of March. So the astrological new year is more in alignment with spring, when we are planting those seeds and nourishing them to help them grow and come to life. So I kind of use these next few months to slowly set intentions and slowly think about, you know, how I want to better show up in the world and what I kind of want my next year to look like, without the shame, the guilt, and the like forcefulness of the resolution culture.
I also think, like, I love that the calendar starts, I believe April is the first month, right? Aries is the first sign, because during that springtime, it's like the flowers start to bloom, the grass is growing again, like your hope is coming back. And right now is just not the time. I don't have the energy. Like, I want to sleep in, I want to be cozy, I want to work on arts and crafts in the house. Like, I don't want to be a boss babe and go out and get it on the daily right now. It's dark out there. It's cold and it's dark out there. So yeah, I love the concept of setting intentions and, you know, just kind of taking small steps towards that and dreaming about that and getting excited about that, rather than like, I need to lose 20 pounds by the second week of January or I'm not good enough. You know, that's just, it doesn't feel good. It feels so much better to like flow. And I also was thinking about, I would love to just, you know, since we are getting more personal on this episode, talk about like, what were our wins this year? And like, I want you guys to think about that too. Like, what were your small wins or your big wins, or like what do you appreciate about this year? Like looking back, like what were your accomplishments and where do you want to go from there? What's your next step on the path?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I want to add one more thing to the thinking about the energy of this time of year. January is Capricorn season. So I think it's normal for people to feel maybe in January like that burst of like get things in order, set goals, and, kind of step into that more boss babe energy. But it's not sustainable because you're kind of getting this kind of rush of that energy, and then it's going to transition into another energy at the end of the month. So I feel like it's normal. I think energetically speaking, it's normal to kind of feel like you want to start setting those goals and, be a little bit more in your masculine energy. But as the energy continues to move forward after that, it's not necessarily sustainable to be in that state, especially this time of year. I wanted to touch on a couple of things that have come up for me, especially towards the end of the year here, that I want to release. And with this being a more personal episode, it is very personal to me, but I just thought it would be fun to talk about that and to see kind of how we might face certain shadows and how we can alchemize them. One thing that I have really learned this year and want to be more mindful of going into the new year is that your relationships only go as deep as you're willing to like share in yourself. Like you're only going to meet the depth in someone else that you're willing to share of your own. And I've had a lot of shallow relationships in my life because I've realized that I don't share much of myself with anyone. I am very like closed off in that way, and I am a very like kind person on the surface level, and like I can be very amicable with people and, build more shallow relationships, I guess, or more like acquaintances type relationships where like you can be friendly and be like friends with these people, but not like have that super deep interpersonal relationship. And I still feel like I have like a sense of resistance when it comes to going deeper in relationships with people. And I've had a lot of people that will just like leave out of my life out of nowhere, like won't like they won't even we won't have a fight or anything. They just like stop talking to me and that's it forever. Like don't hear from them again. And I'm just like reflecting on that and thinking about like I know that it's a reflection of what I'm giving or not giving to people. And so I just really want to move forward, allowing myself to like go deeper in relationships and share more of myself. And like, I think that's like the most meaningful part of life. And you can feel lonely when you're not building relationships like that, I think. And I think I've have gained a sense of a little bit of loneliness. And I think as I progress on my spiritual journey, you kind of open doors to go deeper in your spiritual journey. And I don't think that it's something that I've realized thus far. So it's kind of like the universe saying like, okay, you're ready for like this next step. Like this is your next like shadow that you have to kind of look at and whatnot. So that's like something that I'm going to be focusing on and thinking about this winter. And then just allowing myself to like grow and be more open with the world and with like my close relationships and stuff with people.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I definitely can understand that kind of feeling. And I think that's a realization I've kind of noticed too. And it's interesting, like the way you put it. I guess I hadn't thought about it that way as much. I thought about it as I kind of like hide myself, I think, or certain aspects of me anyway. I'm never dishonest and I'm never trying to be anybody else. It's just that I'll withhold a lot, you know?
Same.
And I think it's like a protection mechanism. And I think that you're right. Like the more that we grow and go deeper within ourselves, and the more accepting we are of ourselves, and the more we kind of follow that path to learning who we are and really loving that,
Mm-hmm.
the more we feel safe to share that with others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've come to a place where I love myself and like I enjoy my company more than anyone else. And I think it's like I've almost got too comfortable with myself. And like, I'm like, I don't care. I don't need to share me with anyone else because I'm not looking for validation from anyone else. But it's almost like I've gone too far down that like rabbit hole. And one other thing I wanted to share along that topic was just basically a lyric from a song that I listened to recently. I've discovered a new artist that I'm obsessed with. They're an Irish artist, and they like have fused modern day music with like Celtic folk music. But one of his lyrics is, I let no one in, and that's why no one sticks around. And it's like, oh
yeah,
that's kind of like the epiphany that I had was like, I can't expect people to want to or to maintain a relationship with me if I'm not willing to like give up any part of myself or share any of that. Like,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely. That vulnerability really shows a sense of trust, you know, not only like trust for the person that you're sharing that with and trust in yourself, but trust in the universe to guide you and keep you safe no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people really feel that exchange. And when they feel that you feel safe and trust them to be vulnerable, then they return that. And it does build like the most beautiful, deep connections.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. I would love to practice that more this year too.
One other thing that I would love to release going into 2024 is having any sort of expectation for any given moment. Like,
yeah,
I feel like if you expect something to happen in a certain way or you want things to play out in a very specific way, it limits how it can play out, and it prevents you from being in the present moment because you're like, but I wanted it to be like this, or we're not doing it this way, or whatever. Like you become focused on the fact that it's not happening how you thought it would, instead of just like being present in the moment no matter what's happening. And that's something I've caught myself doing from time to time, is like the moment isn't like perfect or it's not like playing out how I wanted it to. So I like focus on that. And that's the opposite of how I want to live my life. And like, I want to fill each and every moment with as much presence as possible, because in the past I've been very focused on the past, like, oh my god, that was embarrassing, this happened to me. Like with social anxiety, it was always like focused on like, oh, I did this, or that was embarrassing, whatever, blah blah blah. But I've caught myself being a little bit caught up in the future, and like especially around my birthday, I was like, you know, getting a quarter life crisis or whatever. I was like, I'm getting so old. And then like you think about the future of like, well, I am 25, so I'm basically 35, so I'm almost 50. And it's like you get caught in like thinking about the future when, as we always say, the magic is always like here in the moment, and that's all that matters. So it's just like always, I just really want to continue to focus on bringing myself back to the present moment.
You said that so well. And for me, I'm like, you are expressing a lot of the things that I have been like feeling lately, but you're expressing them in a much more articulate way than I've been thinking. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's totally it. Yeah. For me, oh, do I get caught up in the future? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially as a human. Seriously, though. I was going to say, especially as a woman, because I think there's a lot of like societal pressure on women about aging, and like you can only have babies till a certain age. And so like you reach your 30s and you're like, oh my God, I'm almost gonna die soon. It's over for me. But I think time is such an illusion, and the best thing we can do is stay enjoying the present and allowing the present to unfold however it's going to unfold, however it's meant to, and looking for the joy and the positive perspective in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed a bit of contrast lately where I'm recognizing the people around me pointing out like a negative perception of something. And for me, I'm like, that's weird because I had the same experience and I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was all great. I like that restaurant, you know, and that person doesn't like it and this is wrong and this is wrong. And I'm like, but this is right and this is right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll do the same thing worrying about the future where I'm like, well, I need to get married within this amount of time. I need to have a baby within this amount of time. Like this all needs to work out in this amount of time in this way. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be so upset. I'm going to be so disappointed. And it's like, no, you don't have that kind of control over the universe. Like you do and you don't. You have control over how you feel. And so that's the way you can attract what you want. But you can't actually be like, this person needs to marry me on this day and we're gonna die on this day together holding hands like the Notebook. Like it doesn't really work like that. Like the only thing and the best thing that we can do is just be present and find the good in the now. That's really the only thing. And I think that's why I'm kind of like, I don't really want to set New Year's resolutions. Like I want to take care of myself. I want to be healthy. I want to be loving. I want to spend a lot of time with my loved ones. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. In the past, I have had a little bit more like specific, not specific, but just I would say maybe more intentions going into the new year. And this year, like I was thinking about, sometimes I like to think about like the themes or like what I really want to focus on this year, just in a very broad sense. And I was like, well, like I really just want to focus on my well-being and being present and bringing more ease, like and that's about it. Like I just want a really aligned year.
And adventurous. We want adventurous. We're going on adventures this year. I can feel it.
Honestly, same. I also have this feeling of like this year is going to be a really big year and I don't know why, but I have this like feeling of like your whole world's literally about to change. So girl,
get ready.
That's like what I feel basically. And I don't know what it means yet. And I'm excited to find out.
Yeah. I feel the same way. It feels exciting.
Yeah. So that's just super good. And so is there anything before we move on to like the more positive side? Is there like anything else that you want to share about like releasing before we move into the new year?
I would like to release judgment about myself and others in negative ways. That's not to say that I won't be aware, but just that I don't want to hold on to that, like the negative emotions of that. And I would like to habitually stay focused on the positive as much as I can, you know, and really, really hold on to faith, because I know as much good is coming, there's always balance. And I think it's so important to remember to hold on to your faith. And here we go again. There's a Russ song. And he says, I could lose it all as long as I don't lose my faith. And that's exactly how I feel. Like I don't care about the material things as much as I care about the faith and the well-being. Yeah.
And I think if you're focused within like finding alignment, finding that like having unwavering faith, the outside circumstances can't harm you as much.
Yes. And they will align with that vibration. You know, I catch myself, and I think this is a real human thing, worrying a lot like in the moment about like what's gonna happen, is this person gonna do this or that, like and it's like it doesn't matter, the details don't even matter as long as you keep that faith and you keep aligned with yourself the external will align with that.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's the theme, is like just stay in alignment. You'll be all good.
It's so true. So true. Rise and align.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like one last thing that I could add to this, and it kind of goes off of the previous things that I said, is like letting go of how I think things should be, or how I think other people think I should be living my life. Like, you know, I should probably be doing X, Y, and Z, or like I shouldn't do that because that's not necessarily like the wise decision or whatever. Like I harbor some guilt around the decisions that I make, and not in that I worry about myself, but I worry about like hurting other people in the process, or like worrying about what they're going to think in the process of that. And I think my thing would be to release guilt, because guilt is one of the lowest vibrations I think that you can carry. So I think that releasing guilt, it would be my last thing that I would really want to allow myself to let go of going into
that's beautiful.
The next year.
Yeah, definitely. I thought of something, but I forgot it. I was like, yeah, there is another thing. That's a great one, though. Well, I don't know. If it comes, it comes.
With that, what are you thinking in terms of like the new year?
Intention setting. Well, obviously, you know, the things we kind of mentioned about being mindful and stuff, but I would really love for the podcast to grow. We started it around 40 weeks ago, so that would be 10 months ago. So in 2 more months, we'll be going on a year. I would love to get more than 10,000 followers this year. I think that's definitely doable.
Yeah.
I would love to start seeing some sort of profit from our podcast. That would be so exciting. I would love to be able to film episodes traveling somewhere else this year. Episodes.
It's happening.
Yep. I'd like to spend more time with my son this year. I feel like with school the last couple years, and him being gone half the time, it's been a lot of away time for us, and I would love to be able to take him on trips with me and, you know, get more quality time with him. I would like to take better care of myself, which I already kind of am a lot. I do take really good care of me, actually, but I mean, like, I
take it to the next
level. Yeah. I definitely would like my body to be a bit more fit, but I'm already on that journey. Like, I already eat healthy and, you know, take supplements and work out and do those things, but I would just like to bring that to an even higher level. And I would like to learn to become even more mindful, like maybe spend more time meditating. And I think I've been very, like, when I get close to people and I spend a lot of time with people, I'll get to this, like, I want to make them more positive, or like I want to make them better. And I'm like, especially parenting too, you almost do it in like a controlling way, and I don't want to do that. I would much rather learn to communicate healthier and attract it in a healthier way and inspire people more than like pick out their flaws and try to change them type of thing. I want to attract that positivity from people.
I think that's amazing. I think it can be so inspiring for people if you kind of just lead the way and then let them kind of like follow, you know, instead of like trying to drag them down the path. It's not fun for anybody.
I will beat you. It doesn't really work out.
Like, you're in the front with the lantern, like guiding through the darkness.
Yeah. Fine, I'll do it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty good in that way, where I'm just like, you don't want to do it? That's not my problem.
Yeah.
Have fun. I'll be over here happy as can be, no pain, just vibing.
Yeah. I want to practice that more. And I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but there are still things that trigger me. So I want to be able to like release those triggers and really just stay happy in my own little world over here. Because that's my favorite place to be.
Same. Yes, absolutely same. I feel like I have some similar goals, of course, with the podcast, like 100% same. And I really just want to focus on bringing my ideas and my dreams to life. I feel like I have so many amazing ideas and things that I want to happen and bring out and share with the world. And like my main thing is like I want to connect people with their inner magic, and I am working on doing that in so many different ways, like with the podcast and with yoga and crystals. And there's I want to offer even more within like the respective categories, if you would. Like, I want to share more yoga with the world, and I have workshops that I have mostly put together, but haven't, taken that, like, gotten to the finish line with them. And I want to host online moon circles, and I feel like a lot of you guys would be interested in that, but I just want to share all of this like magic that I have and that I've learned, and that I'm just my way of being. Like, I want to share that with other people more. And I just think that, the more that we can share magic with the world, like the better the world's going to be. And it doesn't do much good if I'm just over here in my little corner vibing. And then, there's people that want to learn more, that don't have the resources or don't have someone that they feel connected to or want to learn from. So I just feel like there's so much that I want to share with you guys in the coming year. And I just want to be so tapped into my magic. I want to just fully embody it and then be able to share it with others. So that's just such a major thing for me this next year. And yeah.
Yes. And also, I would love to have at least one meetup, if not several, this year. I think that would be really great.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about it on here probably a few times. Like, our goal is to be hosting retreats around the world, especially in castles in Scotland. So being able to start sharing what we have to offer with people on a smaller scale would be so amazing. So if you're local, like, keep your eyes out for that, because that's for sure coming this year.
Yes.
It has to.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we also didn't do our wins for last year.
I want to focus more on movement, and I feel like even deeper in my yoga practice, but incorporate other forms of movement. Like, I'm outside and walking a lot, but I just want to explore more movement like hobbies. And something that I had just heard today, it was on the Jay Shetty podcast, of course. He was interviewing a physician. I don't remember his name, but they were having a conversation about health and wellness, and Jay Shetty was saying how he is kind of making this effort within his relationships to do active things with his friends. Like, he's like, yeah, like sometimes we'll watch movies and hang out, but he's like, we're not always just like sitting on the couch or just going out to eat. We're making an effort to do active things together. So he's like, we're playing pickleball and we're going for hikes and we're doing this. And he's like, I'm just the people that I want to maintain relationships with, I want them to be willing to do that with me and stuff and whatever. But so he's just basically talking about welcoming in more movement, and then also doing that with people around you, which I mean, I already kind of do, but just something that I want to do even more and find new fun ways to move my body and like explore my body and make it healthier and stronger and do new things and whatever.
I love that. I would love to do that too. I think finding new activities in general is just super fun, and especially if they are like moving your body in a new way, like it can be really expansive inside and out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's exciting to go and do new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that as well. It's interesting. When I was thinking about that, I was like, most of my friends are super down to do that. And we're always like hiking in the woods and stuff like that. And then I'm like, there are some people who aren't, who like
Mm-hmm.
really don't like going outside. And I'm like, do I want to keep them as close friends? Like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Just because it is so different. I mean, and you do have to have different people for different things that you like, because
Mm-hmm.
there's not going to be one person who likes everything you like. But I'm like, I think that does say something about a person. Do they like to be active? Do they like to do things besides just lay around and watch TV? And on another one of Jay Shetty's podcast episodes, he was talking about how watching TV is the least intimate thing that you can do with somebody. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
do not get to know a person. That's why if a guy has ever asked me on a date to the movies, I always say no, because I'm like, especially if it's the first date, no way,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't even know you. What are you going to do? Try to hold my hand? I've never even had a conversation with you. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. I'm not like a movie person in general, I would say, but I think that I've been that way even with like growing up and stuff with friends, like, or like meeting, hanging out with a friend, and they're like, you want to go to the movies? And it's like, no, I want to hang out. Like, what are we don't get to talk the whole time. We go to the movie and then go home, and then that's done. But there are like certain instances where it's like, I've had friends where we've like bonded very heavily over like certain things, and the movie was about that or whatever, and we both were like, go to the movie, and we're like like so excited. And that's like kind of a really special thing, because you can connect on that, like on a different level with them doing something that like is super special to you, like whatever. But I think of like Harry Potter, or like I recently went to the Taylor Swift movie with my friend who I went to the Taylor Swift concert with, and that was like fun because we're like, we saw, like, you're kind of reliving like a really special memory. So there's like specific things, but I think when you're trying to like get to know someone, it is weird. It's like, we'll just go there
or
and not
even
talk,
just
and
like
then
deepen intimacy with a partner. Like, yeah, you can lay around and watch a movie once in a while, but if that's all you ever do you really even like each other? Like, you don't even know each other, really. Like, that's, I need more.
yeah, absolutely. It just kind of like, whether you're with someone or not, it disconnects you from the present moment.
Yes.
And I'm not against watching TV. Like, I do have shows that I love to watch, but it's like all in moderation and all in mindfulness. Like,
Absolutely. Also, it made me think we are avid readers, and so are a few of our friends, and we're definitely going to do a book club. Comment good books below, and if you want to join us, if you are local, comment below, because we're having book club.
Yes. See, this is me and like my 100 million things that I want to do. It's like, have an online book club where we can all do it together and hang out. But anyways, yes. Book club. I mean, this is more of just like something I'll tell you, but so I've on Spotify. I don't know if this was a thing prior to now, but I just realized that they have audiobooks on there. And so I've started listening to audiobooks, and I've had a good time with it for the most part, but I've realized like that I like very specific genres. Like, I'm having a hard time with like books that even book talk or people who also love reading share, like, this is amazing, this is so good, and I'm like reading it and I'm like, this isn't giving me what I need it to give me. So I've just like realized I think I'm like super in, it must just be like the fantasy. I don't know, I can't tell yet if it's like authors,
I think,
or if it's like I just like more of the fantasy stuff, but I'm like trying to figure that out.
Okay, so I have had a similar experience, and I haven't really been listening to audiobooks just because I love my imagination, like making up their voices and what they look like and stuff.
That's the thing. So they have the voice that they use to read the book, and I can't get into the voices because they're not like what I want them to be.
Yeah.
So it's actually so distracting, and I probably won't listen. I won't listen to like every book, just ones that I'm like not maybe sure about reading that I can listen to when I'm doing other things. But I'm like, the voices I have a hard time with because I'm like, I don't want to listen to their voice.
That's not what he sounds like.
Yes.
Like, trust me, I know what he sounds like, and this is not it.
Yes.
But yeah, for me, I think it's authors, because there are certain, like, I love fantasy too, depending on the book, and I love romance depending on the book. There have been a few that I've read that I'm like, and there's also been books where it is a good author, I just simply don't love the story, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's so fun to, like, you know, explore different lives and explore different dimensions and like realities and like things that aren't in this reality. And it's so fun to imagine and dream and just be a part of different experiences without necessarily having been in them. And I think also it does encourage you to use your imagination, which I think we're lacking these days. You know, we watch a lot of TV, which has everything right in front of you, and it's so much. Like, I can't watch like super action movies or like all the Marvel movies and stuff because it's just too much going on almost. Like, it's just like overwhelming, and there's so much happening that you don't have any opportunity to use your imagination. Where like when you're reading, you get to create a world in your mind, and like I feel like that uses different parts of your brain and stuff, and it's like it's just so fun and relaxing and cool.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like it affects my dreams, and it makes me want to write as well. And imagination is the soul of creation. And I think people don't realize that. Like, anything that is in existence that was invented had to be created in someone else's imagination. So, like, I mean, you can really create anything with your imagination. And if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And that's magic.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, I think books are a powerful way to manifest if you're wanting if you're setting intentions around something, like read a book about that.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be like, you know, it can be like a story. I can never remember. Is it fiction?
Like fiction or nonfiction? Fiction is fake, and nonfiction is...
So like read a fiction book. It doesn't have to be like necessarily real or like science-based. Like read a book, read a story about something that you're wanting your life to be like. And I think that's a super cool way to like get into what that feels like, because you really do kind of tap into the energy of what you're reading, I feel like.
Yes, good books evoke emotion, just like good songs, you know, like any good art evokes emotion. That's why we see it as valuable.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love that. I love it. Like, for me, I definitely was reading romance because I was like, I forgot what it feels like. I want to tap back into that, you know, and I love it.
Yes.
I think it's loads of fun.
True. Anyways, rant over or sidetrack, whatever over. We were going to talk about our wins, right? Our wins for the previous year.
Yeah.
And I haven't really thought about this much yet, so I'm going to let you start.
Okay. I haven't thought about it either. I just was like, we got to do it. But, well, starting the podcast, I feel like that's a huge win. It's something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I've been loving doing it. And I feel like we've been so consistent. I'm so proud of us. We've talked about so many cool things. We have so many more cool ideas coming up. And it has been growing. Everything about it has been so good.
Yes.
It's so magical.
Agreed.
Yeah. Love it. What else? I feel like I have gotten better at communication. I have definitely developed more relationships, like newer relationships, and deepened the relationships that I have. I think I have become more understanding and more accepting of people. Like, for me, it's tough when someone has like the opposite opinion. I think anyone can get caught in that, you know, but I think that I am learning to really accept that and love people unconditionally anyway. And I think that's a big win. Yeah. That can really change your life a lot.
Absolutely.
What else? Well, for me, when I became a consultant, it was a very expensive thing, and it kind of threw me into lack for a bit. And so, like, if you know me, I love going on vacation. I was going on vacation at least every other month for quite a few years. I was like always going somewhere. And the last couple years I haven't because I was paying that off. And also I bought a new car and a house all in the same year. So I was like really feeling the lack. And I finally feel like I am back tapped into abundance. I paid that completely off. I'm really proud of that. That's a big win this
That's so
year.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like I'm really starting to get to know myself better and to really like become clear on what I do want and what I want to feel like.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like I I don't know. I think that I have really embodied unwavering faith this year. I have been wanting to manifest a very specific job in a long it's been I want to go back and read my journals because I know in like 2019 2020 I was writing still like I want this job X Y and Z like and I've been writing about that and trying to and manifesting that for years and like having unwavering faith that that will work out for me and trusting that things will play out when they're meant to because in 2019 I wouldn't have been ready to do what I'm doing now or been in the position that I'm in now. So I just think that I'm really proud of myself for not giving up on, you know, that dream, but also like my dreams in general. Like when things go wrong or when things aren't like happening for you right away, you you can maybe feel like it's not meant for you or, you know, get stuck in that and move on to something else. But I'm just like so proud of myself for always just trusting the universe, trusting in myself and not having that pressure of like, it has to happen at this time or whatever. Like just letting it play out in time or letting it play out as it's meant to. I'm proud of myself for that because that's hard.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like your life from outside perspective has changed and grown and expanded so much this year and so have you as a person and that has been so inspiring and beautiful to watch.
Thank you. I don't, and it's interesting because I don't feel that way. Like I don't feel like I've done a lot of work this year, but I think it's like the work that I've done in the previous years, like I've finally like fully embodied that.
Yeah.
Whereas like I stepped into that role, but I'm like not I did all the work prior to that. And so I felt like the previous years were more transformative to me, but I'm kind of, you know, reaping what I've sown, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm seeing it come to life more. And I think that's just an important lesson for anyone is to like have patience and faith and trust in yourself because even though it doesn't happen immediately or you don't see things coming together behind the scenes they are and it's always like been a thing for me is like let the universe take care of the details like have the faith, you know, and do your little manifestation rituals, like work on your mindset, like, and let the universe like take care of the individual details and like how it's going to work out. So you're not like caught up in worrying if or why or how it's going to work out. You just let it. And it's been fun.
Yes, that's magical. I love that you said I trust myself because I mean, it is important to do these things as well, right? Trust the process, trust the timing, divine timing, trust the universe, trust God, but trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's so, so important. And I think that for a long time, I didn't have that faith in myself. And one day I started writing, I trust myself. I know the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that the decisions that I'm making today are going to lead to where I want to go. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, just my intuition. But I know that this is going to work out and I trust myself. And I think that that's so empowering to give yourself that credit. Like, you do know what you want. You do know where you're going. You are making the decisions based off that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. I think I also this year, I've always put myself in situations where like I know my value and I leave once I'm no longer valued or like I can sense that it's like no longer meant for me or we're just like no longer aligned, whatever. Like I feel like I've always honored my value. But that was also something that I had to practice this year too, navigating certain like relationships with people, or I'll say relations with people, that people making you feel like you're not how you actually feel inside, or like kind of like gaslighty type people, or people who are so I don't want to say narcissistic, but just very focused on themselves. And like it being around those kind of people can kind of make you start to feel like you're a little crazy. So I just feel like I've been tested in a small dose this year of that, and just like not letting myself participate or be around that. And like, you know, it was just interesting.
I think that people who are unhappy and feel out of control try to manipulate and control circumstances. And I think it's so important to remember that the way that those people are acting is like the way that they're trying to make you feel is how they feel about themselves, one. And two, that no matter like how they're treating you, to remember your value, like you were saying, is so important, because your value is not reflected by how somebody else is treating you. Like, you're valuable, period, no matter what. So just to remember that, because it can really make you feel terrible if you let it. You know, if somebody is if they don't recognize your value and your magic and your greatness, it can confuse you, and you can lose that. And but you have to remember, like, no, I am invaluable no matter what.
Yep, exactly. So, you know, just another opportunity for me to put that in action. So I feel like that was when you're pursuing or embodying a version of you, like your aligned version of you, and people can have negative reactions to that because they're not embodying that themselves, or they're, quote unquote jealous, or like they are unhappy, can kind of take that out on you in a way. And they can kind of maybe I've also had instances where people are like trying to do what I'm trying to do in certain things, and quote unquote stealing your ideas or whatever, trying to take away your thing. Like, for me, I think I've been tested with that a little bit this year too, and it's like I'm proud of myself for how, again, I've like connected back to my value, and have not let that like consume me and like fill me. I feel like a lot of people can be angry over certain situations and stuff, but it's like, for me, I've been able to just like disconnect from the situation and move forward. And you can still like, I kind of have like the hope for the best, like good luck, like hope you figure your life out, and hope things work out for you kind of vibe, but like not let it destroy you, or whatever.
And I mean, like, when people are acting that way, you just have to recognize, like, they're just not a vibrational match. Like, if they don't recognize your magic, they're just not aligned with you, and like it's just not meant to be. And
that actually reminded me of what I was going to say. So sometimes it can come from someone that you looked up to, or someone that appears or acts like they're I don't know how I want to say this, but
together,
just someone that you've looked up to, or that you admire, that you feel like you're on the same page with, or like vibrationally they're healthy, like you on the outside looking in, or like whatever, that's just kind of, I don't know how I want to say this. Anyways, it can be more difficult when it's someone that you've looked at a certain way, and then have kind of like found out it's not like how they were acting all this time.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I feel like that's not valuable to this conversation, so we can be done with that.
Okay.
Over. Cut it off. It's done.
Valid.
Cut it out.
Valid. We're done with that.
Anyways, moving on. Where are we even? I feel like I've just entered this body. I don't know what's happening.
That's kind of how it's been for me lately too. But I feel like we did say
Okay.
lots of stuff.
I'm losing my mind. I feel like I've been here for 2 years, but also not here at all. I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
So,
Like, people will, you were kind of talking about, like, sometimes people will, like, try to steal ideas or something like that.
mm-hmm.
I really trust the universe for two reasons there. One, if somebody's in a bad vibration and they're, like, intentionally trying to, like, hurt somebody or take something from someone or jealous of them, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's all they get back. They
Yes.
just get that same thing back.
Yes, that's why.
And so I'm not worried about it. I'm
Yes.
not like, they're not going to take my idea and become a billionaire with my idea. It's not, the universe doesn't do that.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out. And two, I trust the universe because I'm my own attraction point. Like, they
Mhm.
can't take my pie. It's mine. They got their own pie and it doesn't look that good to me.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like
That's what I was trying to say. And the whole point was, I feel like I've embodied that
Mhm.
and stayed like aligned throughout those
Yes.
situations. So I was proud of myself for that. That's
Yes.
all I was trying to say here.
We've kept calm and we've carried on. Honestly, though, I feel that. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've really learned that more too and let less things upset me. And that's something that I want to continue practicing is responding instead of reacting and like really considering like, okay, what's the energy of this situation and how do I actually want to respond and what do I want to attract out of this situation, you know, or do I just want to completely just let it go, you know, which is usually the answer.
Yeah. Release.
Yeah. On that note, shall we pull a card?
Yes. So we'll finish the episode with our final card pull of 2023. We just did our previous, it'll be the previous episode we did our tarot reading, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Tarot reading for the next.
Our previous episode is a tarot reading for inspired by next year. So if you want to listen to a full tarot reading where we did a spread, it's a very good time to, I think, connect with your divination practices and connect inward. So if you want to listen to that, I recommend it. Previous episode, we'll do one last tarot pull for the year. And before we do, I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys. I'm so grateful to have you here. And it's just been so fun to raise our vibrations together and kind of put that ripple effect into the world as we always talk about and grow together and build a community. And it's just been so wonderful. So we're so happy that you're here. Hold the sun. I don't know if you guys have been able to see these, but since we moved, but this is the card and we're pulling from the Arthurian Tarot deck. Just a magical deck. Looks like a gentleman riding in on a horse. Beautiful sun in the background, of course. In the UK somewhere.
The sun. I love that because it is the sign of a new start, a new beginning, and for us, a new year. The liberated Mabon rides out to help achieve his quest on a white mare. On his back is a harp, for he is not only a hunter, but also a singer. As Maponus, bringer of light, he is the god of the Roman legionaries of Hadrian's Wall. He also represents the youthful Arthur who drew the sword from the stone. Which is a hero, you know, and it also is representing balance between, he says a hunter and a singer, but I think like balance between masculine and feminine. And this is a masculine card. The story is quite long. It's like a whole page. I don't know if I should read it. But the upright meaning of the card represents innocence, purity, enthusiasm, warmth, a loving heart, joy, freedom, enlightenment, wholeness, health, clarity, directness, true vocation realized. Reversed, it means missed promised, being overshadowed by another, or intolerance. And we did pull it upright. The questions are, what is coming to fruition? Where do you commit your enthusiasm here? and what joy or freedom is being offered. That's lovely.
Yeah, I think that's just the perfect thing to end this year on, and for you guys to think about for the next year. It's just very happy and forward focused.
This is interesting, and maybe I will read this because it says, in the card of the moon, we saw the embryonic child growing in the womb of the goddess, which we just had our winter episode, and we talked about how everything grows in the dark and starts in the dark. It says, in this card, Mabon emerges into the world, ready to set out on his quest. As stated previously, Mabon's role is an archetypal of which one can be applied to more than one Arthurian hero. The youthful hero, whose innocence and worthiness shine from him, usually comes into a world torn by war and confusion. In his aspect of innocent youth, the hero brings a new perspective and the wisdom of his mother. Mabon's mother, Modron, is here represented by the white mare on which he rides. The white mare was emblematic of the sovereignty of the goddess, frequently appearing as a chalk hill figure or on Celtic coins. The save image may be found on Arthur's throne in card 4. It's about empowerment and balance
Perspective.
and perspective and recognizing your true wholeness. And I think holding on to that positivity and alignment, even in circumstances that are not ideal, as it says, like he comes into a world with war and confusion and holds the light, which is, I think, exactly what we need to be doing right now.
Yeah, very symbolic of let us be the light.
Yes. Well, just like she said, thank you so much for sticking with us this year. We love having you. We love sharing your energy, our energy with you, our magic.
We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year. Thanks so much. Bye.